Let's bring in our next guest. It's going to be Olivier Blanchard, Research Director at Futurum Group. Welcome to the show, Olivier.
Morning, Tom.
Good morning. So before we get into those tech earnings, I kind of want to just get your assessment here of the overall equity market, as here in the U.S., we're at all-time highs, and maybe we should be after that Trump victory.
Yeah, well, the markets like certainty, and obviously they have that now in the sense that we have a mandate in the United States. There's a direction, whether they agree with it or not, whether there's still a lot of questions outstanding. I think your previous segment sort of outlined some of the questions that those markets probably still have, but at least there's direction, and so now it's just a matter of preparing for what's coming. So hopefully we'll get some clarity in the next few weeks and months, and things should be clicking along nicely.
Yeah, the optimism's reigning supreme. That we got that volatility index below the 16 level, so a lot of that uncertainty gone away into the Fed decision today. But let's dig into those earnings. Qualcomm up over 6%. On the back of a pretty good report, raised some guidance, and a buyback never hurts, does it?
No, it doesn't. And the thing is, I think people misunderstand the roadmap that Qualcomm's been working on for a really long time, for several years now, and how strong of a company it is, and how much of an on-ramp to growth they really have in not just in handsets, but also in PC, and really, really good on-ramp to automotive growth. And so I think people sort of expect Qualcomm to just sort of click along the way it did 10 years ago. And it's a very different company now. So I'm always pretty bullish on them, just because their technology upgrades and the way that they're entering markets and just sort of just growing through them, the way that they did handsets years ago has been really, really strong.
Yeah, handset chip sales increased 12% to $6.1 billion. But then if you look at the other segments of their business, and you mentioned that the automotive side, even though you're seeing some layoffs, Volkswagen, Nissan announced some today. Tesla sales relatively flat. Should you look past maybe some of the OEMs and some of the automotive industry as a whole, because saw some solid gains there, and then solid gains in Internet of Things also, right?
Yeah. So 70%
Recording
growth
stopped.
In automotive is really impressive. I think the way that people misunderstand the automotive market is we look at EV sales, and we talk about a lot of these vehicles as just being EVs. The reality is you have essentially two technology tracks in automotive. You have EVs, or basically drivetrains, but then you have software-defined vehicles. And that's cockpit, that's telematics, that's ADAS, and it's connectivity. And these all require chips. And you have basically a 40x multiplier in the number of chips that go into a car now versus phones or what cars used to be a decade ago. And Qualcomm is in there. So whether EVs are doing well or not doing well is kind of irrelevant. The software-defined vehicle with all of these chips that go into them are going to sell. And so Qualcomm is really well positioned to do well, whether the cars are EVs or whether they're hybrids or whether they're combustion engines.
Yeah, the average number of chips in a car continues to ramp up.
Yeah.
It's in the thousands now on some of these new vehicles moving forward. Now let's flip it over here, Olivier, because ARM Holdings under pressure. Now, that being said, the stock had rallied nearly 90% going into those results so far in 2024. So are you surprised to see a little bit of weakness here? Because it didn't look like a horrible report, but when you give guidance that's basically in line, that's never a good thing when you've seen a rally like this.
Yeah, I guess that's the new normal, right? When a company actually does what it says it's going to do, and people are disappointed. I'm seeing the same thing with NVIDIA. They do really well, and the market reacts, kind of poorly to really good results. I think let's reset here a minute. The main companies that are doing really well in PC, in mobile, in automotive even, are all ARM licensees. And when I think about ARM, I think about NVIDIA, I think about Qualcomm, and we just talked about, and mostly I think about Apple as well. And so I think ARM is really well positioned to take full advantage of the AI demand for chips. I think they have all of the right licensees. They have the right technologies. I think their V9 technology is already showing really good signs of growth and potential. And it's just this AI thing that we keep talking about has mostly hit the data center for the last couple of years. Now it's moving into devices. It's moving into phones a lot more aggressively, and ARM is really well positioned to take advantage of that. It's going to take a little bit of a minute to get there, right? The AI PCs are just now starting to hit the market a few months ago, so it's very early days. The end of Windows 10 support is going to accelerate AI PC demand and shipments in the next year. That comes to an end in October of next year. So that's coming. So ARM is in the right place. It has the right licensees. It has the right technologies. So I think we just need to give them a little bit more time for the AI technologies to make its way into devices, for the results that ARM can deliver to actually show up. And that might take a couple of quarters.
Yeah, and the fight that they're having with Qualcomm, giving them the 60-day notice as far as licensing goes,
Right.
is that going to cause any headwinds for this company, or is this a negotiating tool at this point, Olivier?
I think, first of all, let me answer your first question. I don't think there are headwinds there. Obviously, it would be better for everyone, including customers and consumers, for both companies to come to the negotiating table and work something out. Qualcomm is an ARM licensee; like, that's not going to change. I don't see ARM getting its way on this one. It's an aggressive tactic. I think it's just ARM turning up the volume. I don't think they brought anything new to the case. Ultimately, I don't think that they have the strongest case. I can see their points. I can see their argument. I can see the reasons behind them. Obviously, is getting a lot more licensing revenue. But ultimately, I think the case will be settled, and I'm not really worried about a real impact either to Qualcomm or to ARM. No.
All right, maybe a buying opportunity there in Qualcomm as it's under pressure today, below 140 a share. All right, great discussion, Olivier. Have a great day. That's Olivier Blanchard, Research Director at Futurum Group.